I did a video yesterday. It was about 17 minutes long, and it was talking about the shift in the directionality of the stable. And it's not that the changes we've made over the last few years have been earth shaking, right? There hasn't been this massive shift in the foundation of the stable, but we have changed the way that we do things. You guys know that. And I think it's pretty obvious when you look at the results on the track that it's been a change for the good. And people can say, well, it's not always about winning, it's not about the money, because it isn't. And you're right. But it is about doing well. Whether you're talking about your real life or in business or in anything you do, you should do the best you can do. Right? That goes without saying. And the stable.ca has done that also. We have looked year over year at what worked, what didn't work, what changes we can make, and tried to make them accordingly. And I think the results over the last 2 years, especially the last 2 years, have been, from my standpoint, rather astounding. And I think from looking at the aggressive nature in which you, our clients, have sought after horses, have bought horses, and the way that we've raced horses speaks volumes to that. So it was a longer video yesterday about where we're at, where we're going. You guys know what we're doing, right? And I think a lot of this came about when I had dropped in a video a couple of days ago about how some of our sophomores would be moving on, some of our better horses. And I don't think people realize that, whether you become attached, which is human nature, and there's nothing wrong with that. I do too. I talk all the time about how I love LD's Patrick. But at the same token, we're trying to do something bigger here. This is a big ship. It's not easy to change course. And when you do, it's very difficult to revert back. And not that I'd like to. Anyway, I think the course changes we've made speak for themselves. But in saying that, when I mentioned Sweet on Pete, Purple Laura, Slim Jimmy, Renegade Gypsy, all these sophomores that have done well for us that may be leaving, and people became incensed. I think a couple of people had messaged me saying, why would you say a horse like Sweet on Pete would leave? So I think I owe it to everybody. I owe it to you, I owe it to myself, I owe it to the stable, to make sure along the way we continue to address these and explain why these changes are being made. Now, when it comes to Sweet on Pete, from this standpoint, it's simple. When she's done the stake season, there's nowhere to race her here, unless we're going to race her in open company, which would be, in my humble opinion, catastrophic. To try and race her in with hardened horses with the same amount of money made, she's going to end her 3-year-old season, or go into the latter part of her 3-year-old season with well over 100,000 made and upwards of 8-9 wins. And to have those wins, it's awesome. We got those win pictures. We're going to, we've cashed those checks, but it comes with a price. And the price is you can't race in those classes again, right? You can't race in the non-winners of 2 with 8 wins. So now Sweet on Pete is going to end her season potentially with a lot of money and a lot of wins in her card, putting her up in the upper echelon of any classes in North America. You have to understand that. That is a very, very important thing. The biggest change we've made at the stable is understanding where there's classes, what works and what hasn't, and trying to race horses. Case in point would be a Walk on the Moon this year. I know now I should have sold Walk on the Moon last fall. It did not. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. He's going to be a useful horse because he's got 5 or 6 wins. Pete's even beyond him, well beyond him, maybe twice the money or close to it, and a lot more wins. Hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say is that for us to move forward and win races in an effective manner, we have to have the horses to do it. Now, we've had a lot of luck buying horses. We're schooling 2 horses today, would be Bravura and what's her name? My Sweet Mimi. And those horses were purchased because 2, 3, 4 wins, 20, 30,000 made. When we're done with the wins here in Northfield, we can switch those horses, like we're about to do with Blue Tesla, over to Mohawk, right, in Ontario, because there they go by money. Plus, they give you allowances for 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and fillies. So using that construct to our advantage allows us to buy horses that maybe don't fit in Indiana any longer, but fit really, really good here, and fit really, really good in Ontario. And then at that point, again, rinse and repeat. Now, that isn't meant to seem like a big box stable. We still are developing young horses. We still are racing horses like a Mordiner. I didn't dump a Mordiner. I just trained a Mordiner in 2-2. He's going to qualify our school next week. I want to develop horses, but when they start, so the way I guess the easiest way to look at it is when you start racing, you have all these different paths that you can race in. And every time you make more money and win more races, less paths appear, right? And when you get down to a few, it becomes a problem. And when you get down to one, it becomes a real problem. Now, maybe there's a class for Sweet on Pete in Delaware, right? In Massachusetts. Maybe somebody wants to race her in the Meadows or in Ohio. Maybe they believe they can race her in Scioto throughout the winter. But what I'm telling you is when those paths start to merge, start to narrow, that is the time we should look at moving the horses. That keeps our barn fresh. It keeps our barn effective. And it allows us to continue moving forward in a albeit an aggressive way, but a much more fluid manner. So for those of you out there, I know some people get incensed when they say, oh, we're going to move a Sweet on Pete. It has nothing to do with Pete. I love Sweet on Pete. What it has to do with is where we can race Pete when this is all said and done. And that is why we move horses like Bomb Hugger and Blue Bayou Dio before their finals. Because having that elusive final or semi-final or consolation or stake races ahead of you, that's enticing to potential buyers also. So that's why we've shifted. That's what we've done. I've turned 17 minutes into 6. I didn't like the video yesterday. It sounded boring. It sounded dull. And quite frankly, a little depressing. And I'm not depressed. I'm super happy about the way things are going at the stable. And for those of you, and I guess this was the takeaway, for those of you that don't agree with the directionality of the stable now and moving forward, I completely understand. And I hope you don't hold any grudge towards me. I hope you're not angry towards me for trying to do better, because that's all I'm trying to do is better. For me, for my family, for you, for the stable, for everybody involved in the stable. And if this is not now, if you're not happy, comfortable, or excited about the direction of the stable, then at the very least, I hope you stay in horse racing. I hope that the one thing the stable.ca has represented and always will represent is an easy way for people in the general public to get into horse racing, or people to come back to the industry that I love, that we love, and hopefully you love. And if you decide that you're angry with, as I said, the directionality of the stable, then I hope you would at least explore getting horses with someone else, because there are people out there that would be lucky and would love to do business with you. So I was going to make this a big video about today's trainers, about the schoolers that are coming up, about what's coming up. But you know what? This video should stand alone. This video should be for you. Whether you're looking for an explanation of what I was talking about and what I've been talking about, the changes to the direction of the stable, or whether you're looking for a simple reason why I would mention these horses in the way I did, or you're just wondering about the stable, where we're going, what we're doing, and what it looks like. So there you have it. That is exactly what we're doing. We're going to continue to buy young horses, develop horses, buy race horses at fit classes we need them for. It's worked very, very well over the last almost 2 years now, and it looks like, it's bright skies ahead for us. It can always change really quickly, but we've been very fortunate, and it isn't just luck. You always need luck, but it isn't just luck. It's the direction in which we're headed. So with that, I'm going to end this video. I do have some updates. You'll have 2 videos today. I want to talk about the horses I trained this morning, the horses that are schooling today, horses that are racing coming up. I'll be back to you soon, but again, thank you all very much for your participation up to this point, hopefully in the future. I hope you're having a great day, and I hope you have a great week. Take care.